You wrote in a blog that OpenAI philosophy hasn't been very dependable. Now, since Mobileye takes the majority of the market, do you think Tesla may take some inspiration from Mobileye?
No, Tesla thinks it can do it better than Mobileye can. The evidence for that is not forthcoming. The numbers that we have for Tesla are quite old, but Tesla's performance is somewhere in the middle, not exactly market leading, but we don't have any more hard data beyond that. Again, we don't have any hard data for Mobileye, but the company has 80% market share and has demonstrated a autonomous driving system that is capable of navigating the streets of Jerusalem. Now, that is no mean feat. And the reason being is the more complex and unpredictable the environment is, the more difficult it is to get the machine to drive it. And this is why Waymo testing in Chandler, Arizona. Why? Well, because it's a huge, open, easy to navigate grid system that's very simple to drive. Certainly the same thing is true for what Pony AI is doing in the university campuses in China, to my understanding. They're fairly straightforward area that the company is testing. It's the same story. Same thing for Yandex, who are testing in Russia. Jerusalem is none of these things. It's crowded, it's chaotic, the lines on the road are often missing, people are pushing carts up and down the road, they're crossing the road where they shouldn't, and so on and so forth. It's very difficult. Now that gives you an indication that Mobileye has done a pretty good job of solving, or at least advancing, the machine vision problem. Now, when it comes to LiDAR, Mobileye is able to do that by also harnessing LiDAR. Tesla has basically said LiDAR is not the answer. Let me explain a little bit the philosophical approach of OpenAI. So there are two approaches to solving artificial intelligence. The OpenAI approach is what we refer to, or I refer to, as the brute force approach, which is if you put enough data in at one end and you have enough compute power, eventually the right answer will pop out the other end. Okay. Now, because the road is so random, and things change so much, because the data set is so large, we believe that you will never, ever be able to crunch enough data in order to get the right answer to come out the other end. And because you would require so much compute power, it will be unbelievably expensive to do. So that is the OpenAI approach. And because Elon Musk is a founding member of OpenAI, Tesla has taken the similar approach. Tesla's story is simply, we've driven so many miles more than anyone else, i.e. they've got so much more data than anyone else, that our system will be better than anyone else's. That is not, the company has yet to be able to demonstrate that that is true. And if you look at the brute force approach that OpenAI takes, you would infer that it is unlikely to get there for this particular environment, i.e. the open road.
As every country or city is complicated in its own way, do you think the machine vision system would have to be designed regionally?
I think that's exactly right. And the reason for that is if you look at artificial intelligence systems today are really only as good as the data with which they've been provided. Now, that basically means if you take a system, an AI trained in China to drive the road, and you put it in Germany, for example, it will fail, because it won't be able to recognize any of the street signs, or it will just have a very, very difficult time. This was very clearly demonstrated by Google. When it first took its cars from Mountain View to Arizona, they all stopped working because of this exact problem. And they had to retrain them to work well in Arizona. Now, one of the things I think is particularly interesting about Pony AI and Baidu in particular is they are trying to get their system to work both in China and in the US at the same time. And the way I think you do that is that you separate the machine vision system from the system that actually does the driving. And what you could then do, because the logic that drives the driving will always be pretty much the same, although you can teach it different traffic rules for different regions, What will be different will be the machine vision system. So if you separate them, you could take your base logic, and this is what I think Pony AI does. They have their base logic for how to drive a car, and in China they plug in that here's the China machine vision system, and when they drive it in North America, here is a North American machine vision system, and that's how they're able to get it to work. But I think what you will see, certainly while deep learning systems are used for autonomous driving systems, you're going to see this regionalization, I suspect.